So he is our chairman. He is our presently heading the Department of Studies in Botany, and also the coordinator, the director of Internal Quality Assurance Cell, that is IQAC. He has a vast experience of almost 25 years in teaching and research. So I think already, as Nanjan Swami introduced him in during the introductory class, so I request Dr. K. Amruthesh.
Yes, sir.
Sir, over to you, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. First of all, I sincerely thank my colleague friend, Professor Rajkumar Garampalli, so who is successfully conducting this important program. That's refresher course on the theme that is bioresources for sustainable developments in the modern era. So it's a great honor for inviting me to this today's morning lecture, talking to my own colleagues who are serving in the different capacities in the different field. I heard that botany, zoology, food science, physiology, biotechnology, and other discipline assistant professors or scientists are involved in this program refresher course. So our colleague has compiled resources in such a way that he has invited the diversified group of people into one umbrella. So after having heard good lectures, I could see the timetable done a good job. So at this juncture, I am very happy, all of you, that you are participating, that to refresher course run by Madan Mohan Malaviya Teachers Training Center. New nomenclature has been given by Government of India, who was a freedom fighter, who established Banaras Hindu University, and he was also the All India Congress president twice. So freedom fighter. So in his name, now UGC Human Resource Development Center has renamed as Madan Malaviya Teachers Training Center. That apart. So the today's after having heard Dr. R. Raghavendra Rao, who is also my teacher, in continuation of the same, I am speaking about the another important function of the taxonomy, that is our biosystematics. Today we are talking about highly interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary of naming of plants, actually. ICBN and ICN. What are all the important aspects that are there in the system? Dear colleagues, friends, today I'm going to speak on the title Naming of Plants, ICBN, International Code of Botanical Nomenclature, and another terminology that I've used, ICN, that is a new title of the ICBN that is being changed from ICBN to ICN. So, as all of us know, the field of biology that deals with the theory and practice, as I told you, highly multidisciplinary science that we are talking about is the biosystematics or taxonomy, which is considered as the principal discipline of the biology, because everyone is in requirement of the taxonomy, because those who are taking up the R&D, there must be the minimum awareness of the taxonomy. Otherwise, even for chemistry, even for physics, even for anybody for that matter, there must be the common knowledge on the plant community, because you know the very well the diversified group of plants that are there on this earth planet. It is a greater contribution of life originated about 3.5 billion years ago. This is a vast number of species prevailing on this earth planet is the result of evolutionary processes that have been operating since life originated about 3.5 billion years ago. because we are working on the every plant species. As new species evolved, a small number of species that became misfits in the prevailing environment became extinct. So that is, we are facing problem with the so many hurdles. We have already faced 5 mass extinction. We have faced because of the natural catastrophes, but the people, the scientific community are anticipating sixth mass extinction crisis because of the human interferences, human induced environmental degradation. That is what is expected. The rapid increase in the human population and humanity's greed for luxurious living have resulted in the marked environmental degradation, particularly in the recent decades, increasing species extinction, 100 or even 1,000-fold compared to background extinction actually. So, unlike the past 5 mass extinction that were due to natural catastrophes, the sixth mass extinction would be exclusively the result of human activities. So, habitat loss and its degradation, overexploitation of bioresources, what the topic is given to your refresher course, and climate change have been the main drivers of the sixth mass extinction crisis. This is what the system. To curtail all these, the NEP, the most debated in India, NEP 2020, outcome-based reflective model, that is experimental case study. That's what the NEP is intention. Learners engage model, ILS. What does it mean? Means involve, leverage, learn, and share the knowledge that you have generated in your laboratory to the different laboratories both in India and abroad. That is what is called faculty excellence model. That is what is called CSIR model. That is collaborative, scientific, introspective, and reflective model. This is what the learning effectiveness model actually, the system actually. So under this, the taxonomy is one such area where I cannot work on my own today because of the reason it is highly diversified when compared to the pre-Linnaean period actually. So I hope botany, zoology people, there are 18 members are there. So and biotechnology people are also there, except the food science and nutrition people. They will be understanding the importance of this area, the taxonomy, especially the one of the important function. There are three functions of taxonomy. One is identification, second important is the nomenclature, and the third one is the classification. People started working on the third function, that is classification, in the initial stages, including our father of botany, Theophrastus, who started the working on the importance of the plant community, diversified group of plant. I'm talking about 370 BC. That's why till the middle of the 18th century, I'm talking about, there was no improvement except people are working between Tweedley and Tweedlam, working on the old hay, only looking after the morphological criteria, being though of course even today is the backbone of taxonomy, but morphology is alone will not serve the purpose because we have to evolve, we have to understand this diversified group of plants community, because we were not having the proper understanding of some of the terminologies actually. So in 1813, decandle, three generation of decandle actually, three generation, and also D. Jessu, they have contributed immensely to the field of taxonomy. It was decandle in 1813 who proposed the terminology taxonomy for the first time. That means, so it is the science of biological classification. It consists of three separate but interrelated parts. That is classification, in which we arrange organisms according to the mutual similarities or dissimilarity. That's what the characters of the similar nature, we group them into one category, one umbrella. Those who are dissimilar, we will be grouping apart. This is what the system. Another important function of taxonomy, we are unable to derive a proper definition, like the way we are unable to derive the proper definition of biotechnology.
Sir, sorry to disturb. Slides are not changing, sir.
No. I will come to you. I'm giving you some preamble before entering to this. I know. I am not changing the slide. I'll come back to you. I'm giving you, since a diverse group of people are there, I'm giving you some preamble and I will come back to you actual topic. So is it okay? Madam, you are getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll come back to you before getting into the naming of it's a specialized topic. That's why before that, you should have an overview of the subject. Where are we actually? So that's what I wanted to come to you. So this is how the system generates. I mean, the nomenclature is one of the important functions of taxonomy. The way we are unable to describe biotechnology even today, because it's highly multidisciplinary in nature and interdisciplinary in nature. So similarly, taxonomy and biosystematics is the one such discipline where we need to have a multiple dimension. The people, we should derive the data from different discipline. Like we need to not only within the department, within the discipline, we need to cross the border. Like we need to have today, the taxonomy is so much developed in such a way that so much diversified. We need to have a, for proper classification, proper identification, we need to approach the, we have to cross the border. Like we need to have a, the microbiologist, we need to have a biochemist, we need to have a molecular biologist, we need to have a, the physicist and chemist. So it has become multidisciplinary in nature. That's what the system is, not only within the botany, like anatomical structure, cytological structure, genetical structure, genetical information, cytogenetic information, paleontological information, everything, every terminologies, whatever the discipline put together, we are talking about in the name experimental taxonomy. So this is what the system, that means what I wanted to tell, the topic of taxonomy or plant nomenclature or classification is a subject apart from botany today. Everyone, like people are talking, the IUPAC today, chemistry people are there. We need to know IUPAC, International Union for Pure and Applied Chemistry, IUPAC. Similar nature, we are into the taxonomy actually, biosystematics. So this is one thing. So naming, that is another important function today I'm talking about, because those who are into R&D, those who are into research activities, there must be we have to run around with regard to naming or nomenclature and identification as usual, which involves process of determining a particular isolate belonging to a recognized taxon. Now, before I am stepping into the subject, now question comes, what is meant by species? Because we are going to apply the names to a taxon or a species. A species is a group of interbreeding populations that is reproductively isolated from such other such groups actually. This is what the definition of species, and most of you know, to identify all such types that lived or and exist on this earth planet, several criteria are followed. So as I told you, initially morphological features form the basis of identification, but then other features were also taken into consideration for this purpose. Dear participants, we must be remembering so far more than 1.5 million species of animals, plants, and microorganisms have been reported, and it is estimated, for your surprise, there are 3 million species to be described in the near future. That is what the anticipation. And for your further surprise, taxonomists claim that at least 50 million species, 1 million is equal to 10 lakhs, 50 million species have become extinct. See the situation. That's what I'm talking about. We are into 6th mass extinction crisis because of man-made. So climate change, I mean, the habitat loss, the degradation and everything aspect. 50 million species we have lost in the long journey of 5 mass extinction that have taken due to natural catastrophes. We are into 6th mass extinction crisis because of human-induced environmental degradation. 50 million species of different organisms have become extinct in the long course of evolution. Every species. So that is the one thing actually. So here we are talking about the taxonomic characters. All those are very important because the several features of organism are of taxonomic importance. As I said, morphological, cytological, ethological, ecological, and biochemical characters and molecular characters are the major criteria which are looked into to scrutinize the organism under consideration. So this is one aspect, sir. See, if we are talking about taxonomy of angiosperm, if you are going into lower organism, what would be the criteria? If you are going to virology, still it's highly specialized. It has become difficult to categorize and to name. That's what we are talking about COVID-19, because ample of number of species diversity with respect to virus, with respect to bacteria. Though of course we can able to do that. People are, as of now, they are scared of taxonomy, but that is the most easiest. And when compared to other disciplines, like if you consider bacterial species, they are considered for the specific characters. For example, there are now innumerable characteristic features. It has become the very important attribute. So that is a taxonomic character, like cell shape and size, staining reaction, presence or absence of spores or reproductive forms, type of motility, cultural characters like the nutrients they absorb, oxygen, and the way the growth occurs in the liquid media, and particularly on solid media. Example, colony characters, biochemical characters, another important discipline of in case of bacteriology. It is become difficult because and such as metabolic end products and the presence or absence of a particular enzyme or pathways, serological characters, molecular characters, so what not. So it has become difficult to have to conclude a species that belongs to particular generic epithet, and the naming of the same, it has become a difficult, because we are going for trinomial. I mean, specialized characteristic feature we are going actually. The nature of the surface antigens has revealed. So one of the speakers has switched on the speaker. Please kindly mute it. The nature of the surface antigens as revealed by suitable and molecular characters, the sequence of the basis of DNA, GC ratios, and nucleic acid hybridization. These are the ways the system is operating actually, when compared to very convenient aspects of the system actually. Dear friends, I told you about the preamble of the subject, how the taxonomy so much diversified. I owe this lecture dedicated to my gurus, Professor D. Goindappa, Dr. G. R. Sumurthy, Dr. S. Shekhar Sethi, who taught me the elements of botanical science actually. So that's what the system is. And as I told you, so coming to the topic of today, that is naming of plants, ICBN and ICN. Taxonomy, as I told you, is an integrated and intuitive, but there should be the intuitive means we should have a one has to have the idea or feeling about something. You feel that it is true, although you have no evidence or proof actually. So intuitive science of describing, identifying, naming and classifying plants, DINC, and of all other organisms. So as I told, one of the important functions of taxonomy, naming of plants, nomenclature, is a function of taxonomy that deals with the determination of correct name for plants. It is a discipline that guides the selection of names for the taxa. So scientific naming of plants is necessary because the local names often confuse the people regarding the identification of plants actually. Dear friends, when we talk about the taxonomy, always we have the major crux point, major instances that we consider. One is pre-Linnaean period and the post-Linnaean period. Another one is the way where everyone knows the father of biology, that is the Charles Darwin. So we are going to consider two important breakthrough in the journey of the taxonomy, or in the journey of biological sciences actually. So before the lineage come into picture, there was no proper identification system. There was no proper classificatory system. There was no nomenclatural system actually. So before the middle of the 18th century, when Theophrastus, the father of botany, started classifying the plants, he used the habit characters actually. That was continued till the middle of the 18th century. No perfect taxonomist came into the picture. Every taxonomist used to divide the plants based on the habit character, looking at the size of the plants, like whether the plants were trees or vines or shrubs, herbs, that never used to serve the purposes. They had a problem in identification purposes, and so after understanding the critics, it was in the middle of the 18th century, a famous taxonomist came into picture, that is 1707, who is considered as the father of taxonomy, that is Carolus Linnaeus, came into picture. He has understood people at that time had denied the existence of sexual flowers in the plant community. Sexual organs were not at all there. That was the concept given by the earlier taxonomists like Andreas Isalpino, who is considered as the first plant taxonomist, but he has denied the existence of sexual organs in the plant system actually, that I am talking about. So that's why, after having understood the lapses, the eminent botanist from Sweden, so who has come out the first publication on sexuality of plants actually. This is the beginning of the modern taxonomy, I can say, because before the Linnaeus, the names used to be polynomials. Instead of naming a particular taxon or a species, there used to be a diagnostic labels like SIDA. For one information, I want to tell you. See, today we are having a plant name called Sida acuta. It's a weed that is available on everywhere. That is belongs to a family Malvaceae. It used to be called with 7 names, for your surprise: Althea, Coromandylina, Angustrix, Prolongis, Folis, Semen, Bicarni. This used to be the names of a particular plant, Sida acuta. This is true in case of another important plant, Plantago major. This is another of Lumbaginaceae, where it used to be 9 names, for your surprise. So 9 names. There was no proper information about the particular isolate. Like today we have insisted a scientific name must contain only 2 names. The Plantago major was named Plantago folis, Ovatis, Glabris, Nudiscopa, Torretis, Spica, Flasculis, Imbricates. The 9 names used to be there for a plant. As such, people are not interested in taxonomy. If you are going for 9 names, people will not be taking this subject at all. So before the understanding, before Linnaeus come into picture, into the contribution, greater and greater contributions, it was Linnaeus. That's why Linnaean, pre-Linnaean era, post-Linnaean era. That is a greater landmark in our area, where he was the one who insisted, who formed consistently the binomial, who practiced binomial nomenclature. Today, even today reality. That's why, because of the consistency in naming a taxon, in naming a species, in naming an isolate with the binomial system of nomenclature, comprising of combination of generic epithet and the specific epithet, forms the binomial, which was followed in his famous book called Species Plantarum, published on 1st May 1753. You are requested to note down the important date, 1st May 1753, because even today is valid. It is an updated information for your information for you people, because you are all into a teaching and research field, because that is considered as the starting point date of present day nomenclature, because we don't allow any polynomials dated from 1st May 1753. because on that day, the monumental work of Carolus Linnaeus, that is Species Splendorum, was published on 1st May 1753. That is considered as the starting point date of present day nomenclature. Whenever you come across any new taxon or a new species during field work, we have to refer the referential for reference from 1st May 1753, whether this particular any name is already been given to any other taxon or taxa. So you have to refer. That's why 1st May 1753 in the history of taxonomy, it's a landmark. Like 1857, we always first India independence freedom movement, which was started in 1857. This is how the even we have like the way we are having for freedom fighters, we are also having the greater taxonomist people. In the 11th century, before the invention of the microscope, people started differentiating between the dicot and monocot with the crude lens that was available in the 11th century. But it was Michael that is the greater contributions of our taxonomist at that time actually. The classifying characters of ovary superior, ovary inferior, those characteristic features, those were were applied by the Andreas Isalpino. It was Albertus Magnus who could distinguish between dicot and monocot for better understanding of the system actually. So those who will be, though it looks quite strange for the other than the botany zoology people, but it is true. But botany and zoology people, they must know these are the updates with regard to the system actually. So naming, there are, and also we had many problems. So it was Boyne, the very important person, Boyne, who he was the one who started binomial nomenclature for the first time, not Linnaeus, but there was no consistent. He used to give polynomials. Though Boyne, who initiated the binomial nomenclature well in advance, more than 110 years ago, before Linnaeus, but he was not consistent in application of the names of binomial nomenclature. But it was rectified by Linnaeus. Why he is being called father of taxonomy? Linnaeus. And for your surprise, Linnaeus had the bold ambition to describe the world's flora and fauna. But so for which, see, today we are so lethargic, we are so lazy to write a letter. So for your information, Linnaeus had written so more than 600 letters, 6,000 letters to 6,600 correspondents at that time. He had 17 students, PhD students. He has sent outside Sweden for collection purposes actually. People visited India also, especially Surat, Malpe, Mangalore. They collected plants from India and they named actually our plants actually. This was happened in the middle of the 18th century because of the East India Company. His students were recruited as a plant doctors actually. So in the ship actually, Her Majestic Service, that is so many ships used to be there. For your surprise, he did not tour much, but he had sent all his students, most loyal, they are called Linnaean apostles actually. He had the bold ambition to describe world flora and fauna. Why I am talking about the naming? Because we have to credit to Linnaeus. Today, everywhere we are having the complaints in many universities. Sorry to tell, everywhere there is a complaint against the guide. But people are suffering in doing the research. We heard here and there the complaints between guide and student. Here, one strange information that I want to share. Those were become the model to every professors on the campus or elsewhere university actually. He was the one who named for all his 17 students in the name of to a plant actually. Thunberg, who is a famous botanist, Thunbergia aleta, Thunbergia latifolia, Acanthaceae member, beautiful flowers. You name Kamia, you name any of his students, he has given the name to a plant actually. This is the great credibility that we have to respect as a guru, teacher of that period actually, middle of the 18th century. Really, he has done wonderful job by collecting the plants. He sent to North America, he sent all Europe world, he sent to Australia. He was the one who his students only identified the kangaroo. He identified the New Zealand flora, he identified South Africa, he identified the Japanese flora, every flora, even including Indian flora. Thea chinensis, though the misnomer, though it was available in the Assam region, the misnomer was given. Like we were not so famous because of the civil war within India. We never used to like our own country actually, because the partition used to be there. The king's rules were there. That has become an advantage for the foreigners actually in the name of East India Company. So they have not only taken our jewels and the important ornamentals, they have taken our flora also, and they started growing in their own garden. That is Malabar. That's what in the Sweden botanical garden actually. That is also you have to read. But as a taxonomist, as a professor, he has carefully understood. He has gone to the mistakes crept in by the earlier taxonomists. He has made it, and from that day onwards, so the binomial system of nomenclature came into existence, and the polynomials he has put a full stop. And by the time, by 1778, he was under the impression that he has identified, named, and classified all the world flora. The number was only 8,500. Today, we know 1.5 million species. So much drastic advancement in the field of taxonomy. So he was under the impression that I have done my job, like I reported world flora and fauna. No, he had reported by 1778 only 8,500 species, but without any mistakes, all the 8,500 plant species with binomial nomenclature, for giving the generic epithet, specific epithet, trivial name, common name, authority who has identified, named, and every information he has given, though it was recommended by Rivinus. He was the one, a great taxonomist, recommended all over the world at that time. A plant name must contain only two names. One is generic epithet and the specific epithet. The Bahin who made a commitment mistake by giving polynomials, that was put full stop. It was Linnaeus who has eye opener, so who has changed the world, and is the famous system called the artificial system of nomenclature or sexual system of nomenclature, used only the sexual parts of the plant, that is number of stamens, position and arrangement of the stamens, that he has used for a system of classification, that is species plantarum. But a break was given from the habit system to sexual system of nomenclature in the middle of the 18th century. But though we are considering the Linnaeus as the father of taxonomy, his sexual system of nomenclature is no more in the practice. His system of nomenclature was rejected, because if you are considering only sexual parts, only one organ, we cannot classify the plants, diversified group of plants. We cannot consider we cannot classify based on only on the number of stamens. We need to classify all the parts of all different parts of the particular plant, different organs of the plant. Then only that is what is called natural system of classification came into existence. It was Michael Adamson who rejected the linear system of classification into natural system of classification. In this, three important legendary figures came into picture. One is the Michael Adamson and D. Jesu and Alphonse de Candolle. Three important generations. Under that only, under natural system of classification, everyone, I hope you are teaching the Bentham-Ducker system of classification. That is famous book called Genera Plantarum came into existence in 1884. That was a monumental work. Though there were some critics, because we have accepted natural system of classification. If you look into the evolutionary the relatedness or trend, the algae, bryophyte, pteridophyte, gymnosperm, and angiosperm. When the Bentham and Ducker system of classification, though we consider under natural system of classification, they have done a mistake by keeping the gymnosperm in between the dicot and monocot. Since we treat their classification under natural system of classification, when natural system of classification, obviously the gymnosperm should have come before the dicot. So that is what the major drawback that we are having now. I need not have to tell about, because you people know. See, here too, another important scientist name I told you, one is DGESU, so another one is the Decandle. So after Linnaeus, another important person, that is what we call the Decandle, who has made rules and regulation with regard to the naming of a plant section. He was the one who initiated, who compiled the taxonomists at that time, 1867 I'm talking about, to frame the rules and regulation. Apart from most of the information derived from Linnaeus, but he was the one who took lead, who was the great organizer in establishing the ICBN, I'm talking about, International Code of Botanical Nomenclature. But it was not like that. The different names, law lies nomenclature botanic, is he has framed the rules under that book, and he has sent every taxonomist all over the world at that time, 1867, and made Congress, International Botanical Congress. He was the one who is very important. So another important person under natural system of classification, D. Jessu. He was the one who has classified all the plant communities at that time into 15 classes actually. This has become, these 15 classes has become the, which was published on 4th August 1789. 4th August 1789. Please note down 4th August 1789. That is the another important landmark in the field of taxonomy. Today, everyone knows that the advancement in the field of classification, that is we are talking about, we are not at all accepting the natural, the way we believe to the plants, the way we believe to exist in the nature. That is what the natural system of classification. But before, while doing so, there was epoch-making work of Charles Darwin and Alfred Russel Wallace. Please note down these two important scientists who have changed the concept of taxonomy, classificatory system of taxonomy, because of the any organism, the living organism, whatever the organism that are living are the descendants of earlier ancestors. See, that means to say evolutionary aspects came into picture. In his famous book On the Origin of Species, Charles Darwin has said it. The plants, the animals that are living are the descendants of earlier ancestors. That means when you talk about natural system of classification, we need to consider genetics. So nature, as the genes are very important, how they share the characteristic from generation to generation. So here, so not we are looking only at the natural system of classification, but we have to look into the ancestral properties. Evolutionary aspects have to be considered. That is why the view on taxonomy with regard to classification has become changed. The people rejected natural system of classification and in favor of phylogenetic system of classification. It was Sachs, SACCHS, Sachs, a famous taxonomist who rejected natural system of classification in favor of phylogenetic system of classification. So another era, the current and contemporary system of classification that is there today is the phylogenetic system of classification, because of epoch-making work of Charles Darwin and the Alfred Russel Wallace, who are the opinion that not only the genetical character, we need to have the generation to generation data for compilation of the classification as system actually. Henceforth, today we are talking about, it was started with the England Prantl system. The most important phylogenetic system started using the not only morphological character, deriving the discipline, depending upon the other discipline for deriving the proper satisfactory classification, like anatomical structure, the paleontological structure, cytogenetical structure, genetical structure, biochemical structure, molecular information should be derived, and generation to generation ancestral characters to be considered for understanding, for satisfactory classification unto a name of a particular isolate or a plant species actually. That means to say, why are we today? Because of the epoch-making work of Charles Darwin into a phylogenetic system, epoch-making work of Alfred Russel Wallace and the Charles Darwin, who they had sent a message that the ancestral characters, evolutionary relatedness must be considered for the satisfactory color. How a particular species is related to some other species, we have to derive the phylogenetic system. Dendrogram we have to derive. We have to establish the relationship between one and the other. What has been, from how long the particular species has been there on this earth planet? When did it derive? henceforth in such way that is Ni babulus, the phytogeography, that is origin of the species. So, like example, the maize is the origin of Southern America. Like many of these species, Eurasia, and many of the species might have originated in Indian subcontinent. That's why the most well accepted theory of Big Bang theory is before the Big Bang theory. So today, most accepted theory, Big Bang theory, before the Big Bang theory arrival, there used to be no barrier between the one reason to the other. Because of the Big Bang theory, we have different geographical locations today we are having actually. So before Big Bang theory came into picture, so all the wild relatives, whatever agriculture crops today, they have been originated in 12 mega diversity centers. The epicenters we call today. So all the world's flora and the agriculture crops might have originated from 12 such mega centers, that is called mega biodiversity centers, that is origin of the species actually. This is how the system actually, the N.I. Vavilov, a Russian botanist, has worked very well in this aspect. We want to know the origin of species, from how long it has been there, what is the age of the particular plant and all those. So why we are having so much a problem with regard to the understanding of the nomenclature? Because every species of animal or plant may exist in numerous different forms actually. For example, they may be found in two distinct sexes. We are having problem. We need to identify age groups, and at the same time, and we need to mention seasonal forms. They flower in the different seasons actually, and other phenotypic variations. We are having so many problems. That's why, to understand all these aspects, we are not at all talking about taxonomy. We are not at all talking about earlier literature. We are into a experimental taxonomy. So the current terminology that we use for the taxonomy is the experimental taxonomy, where we will be rely upon many of the disciplines like physical characters and chemical characters. We are going to believe those who are working on the phytochemistry, the way diversified group of chemicals are there in the system, similarly there is a diversified group of plants on this earth planet, for which we need to approach in a right direction. That's why another important trend that's today, that is the updated information that I am talking about, is the current system is the phylogenetic system of classification that is in existence, that is the purely comprising of synthesis of data, that we are going to derive the data from different disciplines and making available to the public, and we are making the division based on the synthesis of data, that is recoverable data, discoverable data actually. This is what the put together we call phylogenetic system of classification. The people who have started the phylogenetic system, it was Sachs who rejected the natural system of classification. Another important point I want to mention here, D. Jessu. He was the one who classified under natural system of classification. He has written a book called the Genera Plantarum. Genera Plantarum, under this system, 15 classification he made, reporting of the at that time actually in the 19th century, and all these 15 classes now they have taken as the sampling of DNA samples actually for the phylogenetic system of classification. Today we are talking about APG1, APG2, APG3, APG4. Today 4 system of classification under phylogenetic system of classification have been appeared, that is Bremer, MW Chase. People, there are 8 to 10 people involved together, and they have come out with the APG 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the basis for APG 1, 2, 3, 4 is the D. Jessu system of classification, Genera Plantarum. 15 group of classification that are reflected in the APG 1, 2, 3, 4 actually. They have derived the DNA samples based on the Genera Plantarum published by D. Jessu on 4th August 1789. This is how the linkage from the pre-Linnaean period to post-Linnaean period, how the system has been diversified, evolved in such a way that we need to understand from habit. Habit was rejected by Linnaeus into a sexual system of classification. Though Linnaeus became famous worldwide at that time in the middle of the 18th century, his system did not accept because of the natural system came into existence because of the on the origin of species, the epoch-making work of Lamarckism came into picture, Charles Darwin came into picture. That's why only one organ cannot be considered for the classification system. That's why Linnaeus was system of sexual system was rejected by Michael Adamson. The again natural system, only if you consider only particular isolate at that time, no, it cannot be considered. We need to know ancestral characters, evolutionary aspects to be considered. Hence, the Michael Adamson, the natural system of classification was also rejected by Sachs. Now, current and contemporary system of classification is the phylogenetic system of classification, basis again from the DGSO, and this is what the system actually. So again, we are coming to, I told you what are all the lapses that has crept in. Now nomenclature coming to picture. So we had the same problem even in the nomenclature to get it straighten up, because polynomials were there was no labels, there was no proper nomenclature system was existing before Linnaeus. So because of the reason I am going to tell you now, so that's why without anybody is there without name to begin, your existence started with the name actually. If you get into other system, if you are getting to any system, whether ration card, anything, name is figured first. Your identity starts with name. That's why nomenclature is of international significance. We have so many problems with the nomenclature to bring uniformity in the naming of a plant, because we are not alone. The Indians are not alone in the system. Worldwide, we have to have a common uniform name for which how the people started actually. There are no common names for hundreds of thousands of organisms. Even when there are common names available, there are problems. Within the same language, within single country, a single species can have more than one common. You might have heard for every 7 kilometer dialect gets changed. For every 7 kilometer, I'm talking about. If you referring to Kannada literature, they are of the opinion that the ಸಾಹಿತಿಗಳು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ 7 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾಷೆ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. For every 7 kilometer dialects get changed. The way I use the terminology may not be used in North Karnataka. The way I use the terminology for a particular article may not be there in South Canara. So that's why for every 7 kilometer there is a changes. And even in Kannada, people talk differently. South Canara Kannada, Mangalore Kundapura Kannada is different from Mandya Kannada, and North parts of the Karnataka differs from, though we speak Kannada, though we write same script, but we speak differently. We are having problem in Kannada language alone in speaking. What would be the situation? We need to have a commonality with regard to the scientific name, which is very important actually. So efforts were made to develop English nomenclature based on the use of English. Many English names have often been applied to the same plant. For example, Rusvernix, English, we are considering as an international language. That is also not accepted to be used as a common name for naming of a particular plant, because of the reason Rusvernix. I'm giving you some of the example. English cannot be accepted as a common language for applying to a taxon. Rusvernix anacardiaceae is known as a poison elder, poison sumac, poison dogwood, and swamp sumac. But so the same common name is applied to more than one species, and they might not even be closely related. So another important example I want to give, Daturi in Kannada is sometimes referred to a Datura of Solanaceae in southern parts of Karnataka, while the same in Daturi name is applied to Argemone mexicana. That you know very well that drug is obtained in Argemone mexicana, Papaverese in northern parts of Kannada. See, same Datura stramonium and Argemonium mexicana used to be called Datura, but scientifically they are different actually, though they belong to Solanaceae. So common name cannot be accepted. English names cannot be used. That's what my intention. Piper nigrum is variously known as, that is black pepper, white pepper, kali mirch, goli mirch. So similarly, a single common name lily is used for many genera of the Liliaceae, Lilium, Erythronium, Emirocalis, Iridiaceae, Belancamanda, Nemastelis, Amaryllidaceae, Zingiberaceae. So moss is a group of plants belonging to the bryophytes, but bog moss is a sphagnum, Rinder moss is a lichen, Spanish moss is an angiosperm. How to refer? How to corn cannot be used as a common name to a particular plant, because there is a problem. Corn refers to, usually we say zea maize for maize, but in England, corn refers to wheat, oats, everything actually. So this is how the system actually. The idea is simple. English names cannot be used for a cannot be used for the particular naming of a particular isolate or species actually or taxon. So as I told you, before the middle of the 18th century, names of plants were commonly polynomials. See, I have told you side acute of Malvaceae was named Althea, Coramandelina, Angustis, Prolongis, Folis, 7 Bicarnio. Plantago major of Plantagenes was named as Plantago, Folis, Ovatis, Glabris, Nudiscopo, Terratis, Spica, Flask. How to remember these these names? It has become a tedious job. We cannot have a polynomial henceforth. So these polynomials served as labels for the taxa, and at the same time as diagnosis of the species. These proved to be incompatible. It was also a Kumber system where a plant name consisting of many descriptive phases. Henceforth, the people started in using to overcome the confusion arised over the English as a common names to be used for to be applied for a taxon. But botanists of the world have given scientific names, and now they are based on the Latin language. Again, question comes into picture: why the Latin language they wanted to go for in the middle of the 18th century? Because most of the early botanical literature was in Latin. Latin words are more precise. This is very important, specific, and convey definite meaning. And Latin language is methodical and thus provides means for international communication. Latin language was known universally by scholars and students throughout the world. From Latin, most of the European languages have evolved and is now a dead language. The way most of the languages in India have been originated from Sanskrit, Latin language was the mother language for most of the European worlds, and it gives exact meaning. The language is not being used by any country or nation. This is another problem. If it is followed any one nation language, why should I use that language? Let me use my own language. That is also competition. If I use American accent, people will not accept. England is correct. If I use the German language, Chinese people not at all accepting any languages. They have their own script. Even today in computer system and all, you know very well. So it has become international headache. So henceforth, people unanimously sat together and come out with the Latin language. The most acceptable system of naming plants must be international in character and common to all tongues. It was used by scholars and scientific community at that time. Henceforth, Latin was accepted by at that time. So scientific names. So another important point I told you, every scientific name is of Latin in language, because scientific Latin nomenclature implies Roman language. So Roman is the oldest language actually. The scientific names of plants are based on the Latin language, known universally by scholars and students throughout the world. Alphabet and language. To be universal, this is very important point. To be universal, scientific names must be written in the same alphabet and the same language. The codes of nomenclature require that all scientific names must be Latin in form, written in Latin alphabet and subject to the rules of Latin grammar. The scientific names of living organisms are therefore Latin, are treated as Latin, even if they are derived from other language. Best I see, we have reported from our laboratory more than 15 species. We have come across a new taxon from Bandipura. We have Latinized that Viscum bandipurans. My guru, Shivamurti ensis, we have made a new species in the name of Dr. G.R. Shivamurti. So, Govindappa Arecalensis, we have Latinized by sending to Kew Botanical Garden, by sending that herbarium, that is type specimen. I will come to you another important. I'm giving you each and every important crux point each and every time when we are jumping into other things. Here, Latin must be the scientific name to be applied for a taxon. This is what I wanted to mention. The reasons I told you, English, why can't English? I told you the reasons why we could not have an English language. So because of the reason, common names are applied for everywhere. That's why we cannot. It doesn't give proper meaning. So henceforth, we have accepted the Latin language. So names of taxa above the rank of genus. So yeah, how the names? So the names of taxa above the rank of genus consists of one term only, and therefore called uninomial. That is above the rank of genus. Genus is always family. That means to say they are written with capital initial letter. For your information, dear participants, dear colleagues, see here every punctuation mark is very important actually. Every punctuation mark. so is important in taxonomic language or in plant nomenclature. So it gives you meaning. If you are abbreviate, if you put full stop KN, K is abbreviated, K full stop means it is abbreviated. Full form is something is there. That's why Lin, LINN, full stop means abbreviated form of Linnaeus. So every punctuation mark is very important in the plant nomenclature actually. That's why above the rank of genus, they are referring to family. Family name should be only one term only. Legumi, Papaveracea, Astraceae. Like that, there should be only one name, should end with the ACAE. That's what the system, and it is uninomial. The family name should not have two names actually, and you should start with initial capital letter only. That is also very important. Like noun, it's a noun actually. Similarly, names of genera are also uninomial. They are singular nouns with written with a capital initial letter. This is the regular, like the way Constitution of India has provided the rules and regulations to be followed while going in the traffic. Similarly, names of genera should be written with initial capital letter, and names of taxa intermediate in rank between the genus and species. The names of such a taxa is not an uninomial, but it's a combination of the name of the genus with another term peculiar to the taxon preceded by a word indicating its rank. Example, Primula, subgenus Primula. This term may be a singular noun or a plural adjective. So this is another names of genera must be uninomial. Generic epithet must be single, but if there is a subgenus, it's also singular, but it is considered as a plural adjective. This is what the important point I want to mention. Names of a species. Whenever we talk about names, species, there should be combination of two names. One is the two terms. The names of species consist of two terms and are therefore called binomial, binominal, or binary. This is what the Linnaeus has made it, has initiated it for the first time, after though Bain was initiated, but he was not consistent. So Bain who initiated for the first time, but it was Linnaeus from 1st May 1753 who initiated binomial system of nomenclature. That is what is called the generic name and the specific epithet, which together form a binomial combination or binary epithet actually. So specific epithets alone do not convey any sense. If you are writing the specific epithet without writing a generic epithet, it doesn't have any sense. It's a nonsense. Nobody accepts. But the specific epithet by itself has no standing in plant nomenclature and cannot be used alone to refer any organism. Specific epithets are written with small initial letter. So that is very important. Plantago major, plantago generic epithet to start with initial capital letter. Major initial letter must be written in the small initial letter actually. This is what the system is. Very important, generic. But for your information, whenever you write a scientific name, must be underlined separately. Like generic epithet must be underlined separately, and specific epithet must be underlined separately, and you have to put the authority L, Linnaeus, L capital, full stop. Generic epithet underline separately, specific epithet you should underline separately, and there should be a one space, and you have to put capital L, Linnaeus, who has described for the first time, submitted the type specimen to the Kew Botanical Garden, and capital L, full stop. See, punctuation mark L full stop is very important because it is abbreviated authority who has described the species Plantago major. So this is how we have to follow, because you have to educate others also. By suppose somebody comes, those who are working in phytochemistry, for chemistry people will come to you and asking for the naming of the plant. Can you tell this name of the particular scientific name of this plant? And you have to educate them how to write in their manuscript. So writing initial capital letter, underline it separately. And if you are using the computer language, you have to italicize it by putting control I. So both generic epithet and specific epithet must be italicized, not the authority. Authority should not be italicized, should not be underlined. This is the standard set, like the Constitution of India has provided the rules and regulations, fundamental rules. This is the scientific literature rules. Sure, it is given by Linnaeus and the Decandol way back in the middle of the 18th century. You have to remember all this, and you have to educate others. Then you will be respected. Yeah, here is a rules and regulations we have to be follow. Names of taxa below the rank of species. So there are cases where subgenus are also there, variety is also there. It is usually we find the specialized like ecotype, paratype, all those information that we say. Like in case of fungus, we have a isolate, different isolates. In case of bacteria, we have a pathover. So the specialized program. So Clavibacter michiganensis, Pathover michiganensis. So like that. So very specialized information we have in the system. Like we have pathotype also in case of fungi. So subdivision of a species. So under the botanical code, several categories of taxa below the rank of species are recognized. Names of subspecies are therefore trinomial. There will be chances of Balanophora fungosa, subspecies indica trinomial. In case of fungus, we have pathotype, subdivision of a species. So that is very important. So in case of infraspecific species are there. In that cases, like Balanophora fungosa, subspecies indica, variety indica. So tetranomial. So the names of taxa below the rank of species, there will also be a trinomial and tetranomial. You have to be very careful while identify trinomial or tetranomial. This you have to educate your students. There will be chances of not only binomial, there will also be existence of trinomial and also tetranomial. Cases you have to refer actually when we are going to get the trinomial, when there is a subspecies, when there is a infraspecific categories are there. So you know very well that rank, ending, example. These are the, you know very well, like kingdom, division, subdivision, class and all, order, superorder and suborder, subfamily, tribe, subtribe, genus, subgenus, section, subsection, series, species, subspecies, varieties and pharma specialis. Pharma specialis we refer only in case of bacteria, where and in case of fungus we refer pathotype. So that is another important area, that pharma specialis actually. So henceforth, the current activity of botanical nomenclature is governed by International Code of Botanical Nomenclature, published by the International Association of Plant Taxonomy. The code is revised after changes at each International Botanical Congress. So you know very well that once in 5 years, the rules and regulations, the way people are, though it was started in the Constitution of India with the 357 articles, now we have changed to 457 articles. As and whenever they require, according to the convenient, they also change. These people also will change the according to the availability and whenever they get the information. Once in 5 years it takes place. The last botanical congress that was held in Shenzhen, China, the next the recent one in 2023 at the Rio de Janeiro, that was held actually. They have made changes. So naming of animals is governed by the International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, and that of the bacteria by International Code of for the nomenclature of bacteria, ICNB, now known as Bacteriological Code. The naming of cultivated plants is governed by International Code of Nomenclature of Cultivated Plant, which is largely based on ICBN with a few additional provisions. No two taxa can bear the same correct scientific name within the provisions of a particular code. Same names are allowed across the codes. They will not be allowed. That is NASA, that is cobra name is not at all admissible because of the generic epithet is of the repeated in the specific epithet will not be admitted. Similarly, generic name Cecropia or Perticus in the plant kingdom refer also showy moss in the animal kingdom. That's inadmissible. Draft biocode and phylocode have also been developed during the last decade for convenient handling for combined data for all organisms, but it will take a time before their acceptability. Then coming to the way I told you, Constitution of India, there is set of principles of ICBN or ICN. Why I'm putting ICN, I will tell you, I'll come back to you. But when we talk about ICBN, botanical nomenclature is independent of zoological nomenclature. The code applies equally to names of taxonomic groups treated as plants, whether or not these groups were originally assigned to the plant kingdom. The second important point referring to the plant nomenclature is the principle number 2. So according to the ICBN, there are 6 principles and 75 articles. the second principle is very important for our plant nomenclature. The application of names of taxonomy group is determined by by means of nomenclature type. This is very important. See, for our parents have given the name by the timing of birth, by looking at the timing of birth, the date and all. If you are believing respect to religion, we invite our religious leader and we name, we give the name to a baby. But in case of plants, it was taxonomist who assigned the name to a particular species or a taxon. What is the procedure? We are having the procedure for human beings. We must produce the birth certificate. We must tell the parents' name to a nearest hospital, and it has to be produced to the village panchayat or to a corporation and get the name. But in case of plant, what is the procedure to be followed? That is written in the name of the application of names of taxonomy group is determined by means of nomenclatural type. The way we get the birth certificate, nomenclature type is the procedure to be applied a name to a taxon. That is, in broader terminology, we call typification. Typification is the process under which a name is applied to a taxon by using certain rules and regulations. The principle under principles of ICBN, the second principle is applicable to plant nomenclature. Please remember, is very important for you people. The nomenclature of taxonomy group is based upon the priority of publication. This is related to laboratory, those who are involved in the R&D, those who want to report a new taxon, and same laboratory, if they are reporting the same plant, who is going to publish first time, who is going to report to the editor, is considered as the priority of publication. That means he is going to get the credit. Date of publication is important to get the credit. Those who have submitted later date, it cannot be considered as they will not be given credit. That is what the priority of publication. Another fourth principle, under fourth principle, each taxonomy group with a particular circumscription, position and rank can bear only one correct name. The earlier that is in accordance with the rules except in specified cases. This is a very important principle where there should be correct name. As I told you, uninomial, binomial, trinomial, and a family name must contain only one name. The species must contain only two names. Trinomial, tetranomial, like that it is there. When you are talking about the rules and regulations, family name must end with the ACIE. Here, to retain the some of the important criteria are heritage. There are 8 names which have been treated as the exceptional. We have to retain those names as an exceptional cases. Actually, a family name must end with ACAE. In case of 8 exceptional cases, they have given the alternative names actually. Like composite can be used astraceae. Astraceae can be also used as composite. Cruciferae brassicaceae, graminae poaceae, Gattiferae clusiaceae, Labiatae lamiaceae, Leguminosae fabaceae, Palmae aracaceae, Umbelliferae apiaceae. In this case, both the names are valid to retain the consistency in using the names of old name, but otherwise every family name must end with ACAE. Other than these 8 names, you have to follow rules and regulations as specified in the Linnaeus rules and Decandos rules. Only 8 exceptional cases. In this case, both the names are valid. If you are going to use composite for Astraceae, one of the biggest families in the angiosperm can be accepted. This is exceptional case actually. So this is one thing. So each taxonomic, this is exceptional case. For fourth principle, scientific names of taxonomic groups are treated as Latin, as I told you, regardless of their derivation. I told you we have isolated, we have identified a new species from Bandipura. We have Latinized like Viscum bandipurens. So like that, rules of nomenclature are retroactive unless expressly limited. If there is a problem in expressing, if there is a limitation, then only it is allowed. Otherwise, rules of nomenclature are retroactive from 1st May 1753. You have to follow rules and regulations from 1st May 1753 unless expressly limited. If there is a difficulty, only in the exceptional cases it is allowed to change the naming of a particular plant which is already been given. Otherwise, is inadmissible in the system. So I told you, Lees de la Nomenclature Botanique, Paris, 1867. The Decandos effort in compilation of in grouping the all taxonomists in one place, that is Paris, Vienna, Brussels, Cambridge, Amsterdam, like this it continues. So Melbourne, even Shenzhen and Rio de Janeiro to be continued actually. So International Botanical Congress. So I have told you, in these days we used to use International Code of Botanical Nomenclature, but there is a decision in the Adelaide, that is 18th Botanical Congress. They have changed the nomenclature of ICBN into ICN, International Code of Nomenclature of Algae, Fungi and Plants, AFP. This is effective from 1st January 2012. This is very important updates for your information. The decision intend to provide clear, fair rules to bring out stability to the nomenclature, alter the title of the code. It would be called hereafter the International Code of Nomenclature of Algae, Fungi and Plant, IFE. No more ICBN. Please note down, no more ICBN. This is the code will allow the electronic publication of names of new, because of there is an advancement in the field of information science. We need not have to depend upon the hard copies. They will allow even electronic, whenever you are going to report, even the soft copy will be allowed. Electronic in publication of the names of new taxa will be allowed because of the eligibility given by Adelaide 18th International Botanical Congress, Australia has made the provisions. Beginning of 1st January 2012, names of new plants, algae and fungi may now publish within a validating diagnosis description that is written in either Latin or English. Another important change that you ought to note down, in these days we used to use only Latin. That was the rule. Now they have allowed English for diagnosis purposes, not the scientific name. Diagnosis can be done even in English. That is allowed. This step would hopefully help taxonomists in their race to document the biological diversity before it's lost to the deforestation and habitat degradation that threatens their extinction. Because there's a dearth of taxonomists. No taxonomists are available everywhere. They have become endangered. Henceforth, very well, only 1.5 million species we have reported. There is an anticipation of 3 million species to be reported in near future because of taxonomists. Taxonomists are not at all there. 50 million species we have lost actually. Before understanding the size of the biodiversity, we have lost the great loss. We have lost the diversified group of plants actually. Henceforth, they have allowed English also for not to have the problem with the Latin language. They have allowed the International Code of Botanical Nomenclature, IBC, has allowed even English diagnosis. That is the change. There is also another two important aspects to be considered, that is in the system. From now on, only a single name applies to each fungal species. For your information, I want to mention one of the important aspects in the system. There is one thing I want to mention, my dear students, my dear participants and friends. So earlier, the fungal name used to be two names actually. Asexual stage, one scientific name, binomial system. Sexual stage used to be the another binomial system. From Adelaide International Botanical Congress, they have come out like, I want to give one example. The sexual stage, teleomorphic stage, is known by the generic name by Hypocrea, whereas the asexual stage, anamorphic and mitosporic stage is called trichoderma. So Trichoderma argenum, one of the biocontrol agents of the known. So there used to be two names for asexual stage, one scientific name. Sexual stage used to be confused for people. Henceforth, in that Congress, they have taken that is one fungus, one name. Whether sexual stage or asexual stage, only one name for one organism. One fungus, one name. From 1st January 2012, names of new fungi will require the citation of a unique identifier issued by recognized repository that will register the name. Another important point, see, fossil, I told you 50 million species we have lost. The nomenclature of fossil plants, algae and fungi has been changed. Paleobotany has adopted the principle of one fossil, one name. See, morphotaxa, people used to get the leaf material at one time and the fruit at that time. They used to give the binomial nomenclature for each morphotaxa, but now they never allow. They have to compile and they have to give one fossil, one name only. Similar to the changes in the mycological nomenclature, the code eliminates the concept of morphotaxa. Morphotaxa, one organ at a time, they used to call binomial nomenclature. This is not admissible from 1st January 2012 onwards. So why what are the aims of the code? Because table method of naming of taxonomy group, avoidance and rejection of names which may cause error, confusion and ambiguity, avoidance of useless creation of names, to put the nomenclature of the past into an order to provide the for that time actually. So this is how the citation, whenever I told you Linnaeus means it is abbreviated punctuation mark. For the indication of the name of a taxon to be accurate and complete and in order, the date may be readily verified. It is necessary to cite the name of the author who first validly published the name. Unless the name of the author is short, it should be abbreviated. Whenever you abbreviate, put full stop, Lin or for Linnaeus, Reds for Redsius. You have to put a full stop. That is very important. I told you Viscam Pandipurans is our report. We have Latinized actually. That is, if there is more than one author, you have to put at all, yet, and. There should not be full stop. All means others. It is abbreviated at all. It has to be italicized without fail. Yet, no full stop, italicized. All means others. This is at all. This is another case. So, double citation means if they have reported only 2 authors. So, R.R. Rao, that you know very well that he has reported number of species, R.R. Rao and Com. So that is another important one. So I told you one important aspect type under principle number 2, typification. Though typification is the process of designating a nomenclature type to a name, it means by which they are allocated taxa. The way we give the name to our baby based on the timing of to start with Mesha Rashi like or Ma like that. So here also timing, the circumstantial evidence should be provided. The plant which is available in Bandipura, I like somebody, I cannot give after that. There should be circumstantial evidence should be provided to name a taxon. Yeah, since I like some heroines, I cannot give their names. There must be valid reasons to be named a taxon. Henceforth, typification is the process of designating a nomenclature type. Nomenclature type is nothing but an herbarium sheet. So for various reasons, we collect 6 plant species, where first will serve as the the holotype. That I want to tell you. So the type method is an attempt to secure the maximum fixity and certainty in the application of names. A name is permanently associated with its type. A name will therefore apply to the taxon within the range of variation of which type falls actually. It is names, not taxa, that have types, and it is not the purpose of a type to be typical in the variational sense. The purpose of a type is to provide a fixed point in the range of variation of organism. That means to say typification is one such one which is very important for understanding of the system. Here we talk about very important holotype, isotype, paratype, all these very important. This is the one which is considered as the for the identification or naming purposes. Holotype is nothing but for the first time those plants which are given by the original author. He is going to deposit to the National Botanic Herbarium situated at Kolkata. Our Sir Jagdish Chandra Acharya Jagdish Chandra Bose Indian Botanical Garden, where we are going to deposit first herbarium sheet for a new taxon, or it has to be sent to Kew Botanical Garden. That is called Volo, means original. I mean, there must be a baby, then only we will get the birth certificate. Here, there must be a nomenclature type. You must have a name, naming application of a name of a taxon. That is why a name is permanently associated with the type. This is what is called type method. This is what is called DNA type sequence. If we are talking about molecular taxonomy, what is the type sequence? We have to deposit that particular DNA, we have to isolate and deposit to a NCBI. In case of routine, the basic aspect, there must be a type method, type specimen. There must be one. Zia maize we have seen means the type specimen which was identified in Southern America. There must be herbarium, holotype must be deposited in Kew Botanical Garden or in their respective country. So that is if there is a loss of original holotype, there will be duplicate. That is what is called the isotype. That is usually with the author. In the absence of holotype, isotype will serve the purposes. Again, we have to send it back. Similarly, if you come across it one place, and if you come across the same with the another place, that is called the paratype. So if by any chances, if you lose the that both the holotype and paratype and syntype, then there will be, so alternative we have the, that is what is called the paratype, neotype, that is lectotype we have called. Let others come later, authors, we will go to the same place and we'll make the herbarium sheet and send it, and they will send it to the same thing. This is what is called the lectotype. Like even if you, for any chances, if you lose it, the neotype, which is called the interpreted type, we are going to write the illustration. For various reasons, we are unable to get that plant. So we are going to write the illustration of the same based on the available literature with the authors. This is how the system, the synonyms, taxonomic synonyms, how the synonyms we will change is, and autonyms, basionym, confused names, conserved names. Naked names means there is no diagnosis of the particular plant. Rejected names, names rejected by special rules and regulation. Ambiguous names, and publication, data publication, priority, starting point data, I told you, fossil plants, I told you, effective publication is very important, valid publication. Like this, it goes off with regard to the nomenclature. That means to say, typification and principle number 2 is important. Typification is the one such principle to be applied for a application of the names of a taxon whenever you have come across with the system. I told you APG system of classification compiled by 8 botanists. This is a newer system of classification. Britton Bremer, he was the one who introduced this, who is the senior author, APG system. Various authors are there. So this is a Swedish science for the laboratory. And people are there who have come out. This is the current system in process, that is APG system of classification. That is Brigitte Bremer, M.W. Chase, and Mike Fay, and J.L. Revell, and Douglas Saltis, and Pamela Saltis, and Mysore Botanical Garden. And they have come out with the 15th system of classification because of the DoS, which has become the basis for today's APG system of classification. They have changed, they have made some of the changes like molecular systems, APG system. A modern system for flowering plants was planned in 1990s, and they have used the system contains classification to the level of orders and families only. Above the orders, there is no different rank. They will consider as the clade. Molecular analysis was done by taking DNA samples from two chloroplast genes and one gene coding for ribosomes actually. Major points of APG system: not to use formal scientific names above the levels of order, but rather to have named clades actually, such as eudicots, monocots, and roses. They have made easily with regard to the major, to place a substantial number of taxa whose classification has traditionally been uncertain, to offer alternative classification for some of whom, in which for example, a number of families can either be regarded as a separate or can be merged into a single large family. APG2 refers to such group as bracketed taxa. Bracketed taxa, what is meant by bracketed taxa? Are introduced to help cope up with the transition from the older morphologically based classification to the newer molecularly based systems. Like APG, initially for 40 orders, unclear how many orders are needed, 462 families, many families not yet allocated to order. 45 orders, 457 families in APG2, 35 families not placed in any order, some families with similar characters placed in bracketed taxa. Focus was more on order and less on families, as I told you. So this is this one family. In case of regular system, the Magdalesi is the primitive family, whereas here the family Amborlesi is a primitive family in case of APC system of classification. The last family number is APSE, or also known as Umbelliferae. So this is a clade system. Some other terms, and also the hierarchy system is not there. From order to year, kingdom, division, class, subclass, it is considered as a clade. Order, family, genus, species are existing actually. APG3 2009. Now APG4 also has appeared in 2016. 413 families actually. 5 unplaced taxa in the angiosperm are, these are the one. So like this, some of the important plants I am giving you is getting Rafflesia, one of the biggest flower, Rafflesia, that is also there. While he is thinking, he cannot stand in front of this flower. It odors very bad smell. Even if you are far off 2 kilometers, it smells like such a bad Kars flower found in the Indonesian rainforest. Very bad odor actually. So advantages of a family that I told you. This is how the APG 3 continues. So some of the system they have changed, like Tectona grandis now belongs to actually now the Verbenaceae, now they have shifted to Malvaceae. Some of the changes they have made, I am going to give it to you people for the what are all the changes that has occurred under the APG system of classification. So all the system, the PowerPoint slide we are sharing with you, and please leisurely you refer, because we are getting it's running short of time. And thank you very much. Any questions, please ask.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Myself is Dr. Venkatesh.